Phoenix Rising is a B&M family inverted coaster located at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. Opening in 2024, this brand new addition makes it the 10th roller coaster at the park. Many attractions were sacrificed in the process, including the original Phoenix, which was a flat ride that got removed in 2022, Sand Serpent, which got removed in 2023, and a couple of kid rides that got removed in the same year. In this video, I'm going to give you my first impressions of the ride, talk about the layout, and discuss the things I like and don't like about Phoenix Rising. If you're new to the channel and want to see more videos like this, give this video a like and consider subscribing to support the channel. Phoenix Rising is located in the Pantopia area. As you walk in, you'll start seeing the ride as you pass the gift shop. I like that you have an unobstructed view of the second half of the ride. The dark blue track looked nice, although I'm surprised they didn't go with a more unique color. I guess they truly want this coaster to be Baby Montu, considering the track color is similar. Walking towards the station, you walk past a Cool Wings photo op that I can tell will be popular with the general public. As you get closer, you pass a test seat, which if you're on the bigger side, I highly recommend you test yourself before getting in line. Speaking of which, you enter under the ride logo and the soon-to-be iconic overbank turn. I have to say the concept artist nailed this aspect of the ride almost one-to-one. It's a great way to build excitement as you enter the queue. The queue itself is pretty small, quite possibly the smallest roller coaster queue in the park. Can't really fault them since there really wasn't a lot of space to deal with, but it's good to see they have ways to extend the queue if needed. However, as small as the queue is, there is actual theming. Not much, mind you, but the fact they even decided to add some in the first place makes me glad an attempt was made. You eventually reach the station where you're greeted with a series of screens showcasing one of the 4 Phoenixes. Yes, this ride has somewhat of a story. During your ride, a Phoenix will join you on your journey. There are 4 different types of Phoenixes, and they are the protector of their own realms. It's random for each ride, so it's fun to re-ride and get a different Phoenix to join you. The trains are 2 across with 10 rows. If you're familiar with Penguin Trek over at SeaWorld Orlando, they're basically the same style of restraints, with just an over-the-shoulder lap bar. The seats have a deep bucket seat design, and the restraints are a bit restrictive if you have big thighs or a big stomach. Again, test seat before you ride. I didn't have an issue with the restraints, fortunately. Some cool things about the train. Each car has onboard audio, and during certain parts of the ride, you can hear the Phoenix screech. The other cool thing is there's lights at the bottom of the seats. Depending on the Phoenix that joins you, that's what color the lights will be. It really makes a nice visual when the sun goes down. One thing to note, this coaster only has 1 train. You heard me, 1 train. This is concerning because of slow ride ops, but more on that later. Right now, let's talk about the layout. As you leave the station, you see the Phoenix on your right, preparing its flight as the train heads towards the lift hill. The music builds up anticipation as you climb, or at least attempts to. As you crest the hill, you hear the screech of the Phoenix as you go down the first drop. This is a pretty interesting first drop as it starts gentle, then snaps you to the right at the bottom. You can imagine how snappy it is in the back row. Afterwards, you do a sweeping overbank turn that pulls some decent G's on the way up. Not anything close to intense coasters, but still noticeable. You then drop down the opposite direction heading towards the next element, a banked hill. It feels a little slow traversing, but you get some interesting hang time on the way down. The next set of elements may be my favorite part of the ride. You're low to the ground and you snap to the right before heading to the signature element, the overbank turn over the entrance. It kind of feels like you're soaring over the crowd as they wait their turn. The overbank also has some decent forces. Afterwards, you hit a banked helix that's not as intense as Scorpion's helix, but still really good. This is especially true on the night ride. It may not try to rip your legs off, but it's still pretty forceful for a family coaster. You then snap to the left to a 180-degree helix that takes you to the brake run into the station. And just like that, your ride on Phoenix Rising comes to an end. What do I like about Phoenix Rising? They could have released this ride with no queue theming, station screens, or onboard audio and the ride would have been fine. These minor additions give the ride a lot more personality and a bit of immersion. By far, Phoenix Rising is a back row ride. If you're an enthusiast looking to get the best out of this coaster, the back row is for you. You get whipped on the bottom of that first drop and it will catch you off guard if you're not expecting it. That whole back half of the train, which starts from row 6, is pretty good as well. A lot of the layout is low to the ground with some fairly snappy transitions. That left-right combo before the overbank is one good example. Another one is the transition to the final helix. The helix after the overbank is very good. Again, it's not feet tingling intense, but you will feel a decent amount of G's. This is a surprisingly good night ride. Like most roller coasters, Phoenix Rising runs best near the end of the day. It's not super intense, but it's just enough for everyone to enjoy. On top, it's super re-rideable. What don't I like about Phoenix Rising? The lack of shade in the queue. I can see this ride with super long lines on the weekends, and being under the Florida sun while waiting is punishment enough. Good news is that the queue is not that big, so it shouldn't be a hard thing to add in the near future. It's clear the trains are made for a certain demographic, so bigger riders may have an issue fitting on the train. But at least you can try the test seat outside of the queue, so you don't have to worry about the dreaded walk of shame. The audio quality is not great. I mean, you can hear the music, but it sounds very tinny and low quality. Nowhere near the quality of, for example, the Incredible Hulk's audio at Islands of Adventure. Like most of B&M newer coasters, this one also has that B&M rattle. It is more apparent in the back row as the rattling was louder than the onboard audio. The good news is that it's nowhere as bad as it is on Penguin Trek, and it doesn't detract from how fun the layout is. Finally, my biggest dislike is the slow ride ops. This is not good for a ride with only one train. When I was recording off-ride footage, I noticed the dispatch time was around an average of 2 minutes, from a ride that only has a lap bar. Now, as complicated as it is to get into a train in Tigris, their dispatches are half the time of Phoenix Rising's, mostly. I just hope over time they improve with dispatches, because that will greatly help keep the line moving. Despite its setbacks, Phoenix Rising is a great addition to Busch Gardens Tampa. This coaster is a great step up from Eric Rover, and it's nice that everyone in the family can ride together. This ride will also breathe new life in the Pantopia area, as it really needed something fresh to draw crowds to this section of the park. Although we lost Phoenix and Sand Serpent, Phoenix Rising is a noticeable upgrade from Sand Serpent and will continue to carry on the legacy of the original Phoenix. I give this coaster a final ranking of 3 out of 5 stars.